Hey, what's going on, guys? Zebs here bringing you another tutorial. So this week I decided it'd be a cool idea to do one of these ice styles I made a few days ago, I would say. So something that I really like about this style is that when I was making it, I kind of was like, all right, let's do something with ice or like kind of like a crystal look. And then I was just going through some stocks and I was messing with some plants. And I thought it looked really cool when you combined both of these together. So like I added plants and on top of this ice, kind of with like a darker background with a little bit of glitch. And I thought it came out really well, so I thought I would make a tutorial on how to do it for you guys. So it's very easy to do. There's just a few things that you'll need, such as some color corrections, a couple color corrections, the iceberg stock, and these plant stocks, which I will include down in the description down below. All for you guys. So if you guys do want to follow this like step by step, you're free to do so. But I will be pulling the stocks from my pack, so just keep in mind that the download will be in the description down below for those specific stocks, not the pack itself. So let's get started. So the first thing what we want to do is we want to open up our iceberg, which if you did download, you're going to have something like this. I already cut it out for you guys, so we don't even have to do anything here. We're mostly just going to be messing with the bergs here. So we're just going to drag this onto our header. And I'm just going to kind of reshape it a little bit so that it fits the header more appropriately. Just kind of make it a little bit smaller and whatnot. Maybe I'll have something here. Move it like maybe even smaller actually. Maybe like this. We'll have one over on this side. Now when you're doing this, it's free to do it however you want. You can lay it out. I am going to be following a similar path of kind of like what I did with the original header. So I'm just going to put them kind of in the same like spots and go off of that. So I'm thinking maybe I'll do something like this. We'll have one on the top. So when you're placing your stuff, you want to keep in mind that you kind of want to randomize it. Like you don't want to have consistencies. Like for example, if I was to copy it here, I'll give you a better example. So if I was to copy it, you don't want to have like the same like a pattern in a sense where you can tell that it was copy and pasted. You want to make sure that each time you copy it, it has a different look to it. So like in this case, I'll just do like this is a perfect example. You can tell that there's a pattern here and that it was copy and pasted and that it was the same like exact shape. So it's good to kind of just get a little bit of different crystals on each side. So I'm just going to do this, and then I'm going to put one more over in this corner right over here on the top right. Whoops. Vertical. And then edit, transform, flip horizontal. We're just going to kind of maybe put it like right here, but then I'm going to pen tool this part out so that it looks different from the rest, so it has its own unique feel to it. So I'm just going to quickly pen tool this out. And I would say for the most part that works for now. Now obviously when you're doing this yourself, I would mess with it a little bit more, you know, make it look good. I'm just kind of rushing it for the sake of the tutorial. So I'm just going to name these icebergs. And once we have that, what we're going to do next is I'm going to duplicate it. And then I'm going to select one of them. Just doesn't matter which one. I'm just going to drag it out of the group. And now we have a duplicated version of this. And this will act as our blur. We're going to blur all these ones so that it adds a little bit of depth to the background. So you're going to want to drag this one, the blurred one. Here, I'll rename it. So you're going to want to put this behind the layer of the focused ones, because this will be the blurred one. So this one doesn't matter too much. You just want to have a little bit showing at a time so that when you blur it, it's not taking up too much space, but it's still visible enough where like if you looked at the header, you're going to be like, oh yeah, he's blurred and whatnot. So I'm just going to kind of add some around here. Maybe I'll do one like peeking its head around there. Boom. Oops. And if you're not sure on the shortcut how I'm duplicating this, if you do Control J with the layer selected, it will duplicate the layer for you. So that's a good little shortcut so you don't have to right click, copy and paste each time. But I would say that's a pretty common shortcut. So I'm just going to add one here and one more over here. Yeah, that works. So I'm just going to merge all of these blurred layers into a group. So to do that, you want to do Control G, and that will make a group. And we're just going to name this blurs. And I'm just going to right click this group that we just made, and I'm going to do merge group. So now when I deselect it, they all deselect. It all acts as one layer. So once we've done that, I'm going to go into filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And you don't want to have it too strong, just a little bit subtle blur. So I'd say maybe like 1.4 between 1.2 in that area. And we're just going to, then we're going to start with our color correction. I always feel like it's a good idea to get the main stock across. So in this case, the main stock would be the icebergs right here. And then after that, I usually like to work on color corrections to get a general idea of how it'll look. So that's when you can start implementing different stocks, how you're going to lay out the text and all that, and how all that's going to look. So once we've done that, you're going to want to add your CCs. I did include down in the description down below, but they are just a part of this. So I'm just going to duplicate these, put them in here. Whoops, wrong thing. Twitter header. I have the thing on the left so that I can kind of reference what I'm going with here. So we're just going to turn these on, and I'm going to turn off the white light here. So as you can see here, the difference from it being on, you can tell that it's a lot darker and there's a lot more showing. It has a much nicer look in my opinion. So once we've done that, what we're going to do is we're going to start adding our lighting. So we're just going to make a new layer above the icebergs and the blurred icebergs. And we're just going to get like a nice light blue, something that somewhat kind of fits the tone that we're going with here. So once we have that, we're just going to make it bigger. So we're just going to kind of, well, maybe I'll make it a little bit brighter actually. Maybe something like that. Yeah. So we're just going to kind of go around and add some lights around here so that these bergs have a little bit more oomph to them, you could say. So as you can see here, when I deselect and add, is adding lighting and making it spice it up a little bit, some pizzazz. So once we've done that, I would say it's probably a good idea to do a little bit of the backing and a little bit more lighting. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our brush here. We're going to create a new layer above the blue. We're going to get black, just pure black. And we're just going to kind of go around in certain areas that we want just a tad bit darkened to add a nice look to it. So something like this will work. And once we've done that, we're going to start by adding our textures. So we're just going to go in here. I'm going to go into my stock folder. Let's see if I can find it real quick. So I use 0. And I also used, let me see if I can find it. I think it was in my backings actually. It was, where is it? Well, I suppose it's not too important. Maybe if that'll work, I guess. So we're just gonna use this for now, and then I'll adjust it a little bit later. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna drag this new stock behind the icebergs. So I'm just going to name it stock 1. We're just gonna put them behind the blur and all that, or I mean above the blur. Actually, let's do above. Oops. There we go. So I'm going to resize it a little bit so it's a little bit smaller. And I'm just going to kind of duplicate it a little bit, add some different places for them. And I'm just going to kind of cut out parts that look kind of wonky or unnecessary, I suppose would be the right term. So maybe up here too, whoops, which one? Is that one? First one? Alright, perfect. So I'd say something like this works, and I'm just going to lower the opacity on these a little bit, just so that they have a settled look to them. And once we've done that, I'd say let's start with adding our plants. So once we go in here, like I said, this will all be in the description for you guys, so it'll all be set up in a nice little pack. But all mine's in here, so it's 9, and then boom, whoops, set up 9 here. And as you can see, it's green and it doesn't really fit, but I'm just going to change the hue and saturation to this nice blue and purple look. If you want the exact number, it's just 107. And once we have this, we're just going to kind of put these in nice little locations so that they have a nice present look in the header. Start giving it that nature vibe on top of the ice. So it doesn't really matter too much where you put them. Just kind of like don't have it like overpowering like this. Just kind of have them in settle spots. Maybe like have this one behind the iceberg. Then I'll have another one over here. Something like this, I guess, works. And once we've done that, what we're going to do next is we're going to then pull up our other plant. Let's see. I think it's down here, actually. This one, so 33. It's basically the same thing. We're just going to duplicate it in and then start changing the hue and saturation. Just move it over to the right. Something like this works. And we're also going to basically do the same thing. Just give it a little bit of variety, and then we're going to come back to this plant here in a second once we start getting on our text. I just need to start by adding a little bit of plants to the header so it has that pizzazz, if you know what I'm saying. So I'd say something that like that works fine. And once we've done that, I think it's a good idea to start with our font. So I'm using Team Fury for this one. I feel like this font came out really well with this style. So as you can see, when I drag it above everything and make it white, it has a good look to it. So I guess there is a special layer style I did use, so I did save it, so I'm not gonna like recreate it again, but I will show you the values and all the numbers. So if you did want to exactly recreate this one, you would be able to do so. So here, let me open this up real quick. So we got a bevel and emboss. 100, 120, 30, inner, chisel hard, all that. Stroke, nice blue. Here's the values for that with a size of 1 outside. Inner glow, basically a light blue with a 13 size. A gradient overlay with a nice dark blue and a light blue. And then an outer glow with 26% with the light blue that we've been using with a 16 and 57. So there's the values if you want to copy this exact layer style. Now, I didn't want to recreate the entire layer style because it would take too long. And I'm trying to save a little bit of your guys' time, you know. Time is valuable. So now that we have our text here, what we're going to do is we're going to start manipulating the plants around our text so that they blend in together. So I'm thinking maybe size 60 is a good size for the font. So once we've done that, we're going to go back to our plant, the 33 one, this like kind of like viney looking one. And what we're going to do is just kind of have it behind the text and just kind of, I mean, there's different ways of like going about this. Like, I guess this one is the one I'm going to go with, but you could do a flip vertically and like have it like this. You could have it just form, like there's different ways you could do this. However you want to do it, like so. Actually, I think I'm gonna go with this style, this way. I like this one. So once we have this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start by deleting parts of this vine so that it blends with the text. So I'm gonna drag it above the text here, and I'm just gonna lower the opacity a bunch so that we can see inside the text, so we can start erasing parts of the plant. So you'll see what I mean by this when I start doing it. So for example, when I remove this with the pen tool, we're just going to do the inside of the text, right click, make selection, and then have the plant layer selected, click delete. When I raise the opacity, you're going to see that it kind of has a look where the plant is behind it on top of like some being in front. Now I'm going to clean this up a little bit. But you get the point of what I'm trying to make here. So let me just quickly clean this up. And the one thing I really like about this style is that there's so much freedom to go out and try your own things. Like, you're not restricted to one specific way. Like there's so many ways or different ways you can go about this. And at the end, you're going to see that with these icebergs, it looks really good with almost all colors. So that's why I feel this would be a really cool style for you guys to try out if you guys are interested in that. So we have the E. I think the Z should have part of it showing. So we're going to lower the opacity. Just make the outline of the Z, or whatever your name is, or however you want to do it, your logo if you want to do that. Make selection. Boom, delete. We're going to raise the opacity again and see what it looks like. Doesn't look bad. Gets the idea across. And then I feel like I need to maybe do something with the S a little bit, because I feel like the S is being hidden a little bit too much. So let's start off by doing this top part here. Let's clear that off. Boom, boom, delete. And then maybe some, oh, well, let's see. I think it actually, and then we'll do here, and then I think it'll be great. So we're gonna pen tool this part out. Like so. How high? Okay, gotcha. This is either gonna look really good or really bad. We'll see, depending on how this pen tooling goes right here. It's either gonna work or it's not gonna work, you know? So let's check it out. Let's see if it came out okay. Yeah, I'd say it works. So as you can see here, from what I've done, like when you're doing this, you're gonna want to put some more thought and time into it, but it'd take a couple hours of your time of me just nitpicking every single thing. So we're just gonna settle with this. So as you can see here, it does have a nice like look to it. Kind of blends the text in with the plant life, so it doesn't just like stand out and look like weird and whatnot. Kind of blending. So I'm going to then, I think, let's try something out really quick. I kind of want to put this above the plant here, so it's not just coming out of nothing. So once we've done that, what I think is a good idea would be to, let's look at some of our stocks for a minute. Now all the stocks I'm going to be using will be in the pack that I included down below, so you don't have to worry about that. I really want to find that one that I had. Maybe I'll speed this part up so you guys don't have to watch me go through all this. Okay guys, so I found the stock finally after searching through it. Finally found it so we can continue. So that's what that cut was for, is me going through the pack and finding it. So this will be in the pack that in the description. So with this one, what we're going to do is this is going to act as a kind of like a background texture. So we're going to drag this below everything that we've done. Basically behind the black layer, we're going to make it nice blue, good blue look, and then we're just going to lower the opacity a bunch. Something like, we're talking 18% of sort. This kind of just gives a little bit of texture in the background so that there's something going and it's not just black. And one other thing that we're going to do is we're going to actually start by adding some particles and a little bit more lighting, I would say, towards the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this one, number 7. Go into Twitter, boom. And then this one you can kind of position it however you want. I'm just going to duplicate it, transform, flip vertical. Just kind of have where there's some particles going on in the screen. I'll put one there. I guess something like that works. So once we've done that, what I'm thinking is we should then do a little bit more lighting, and then we're going to get on with our social media stuff. Because I'd say this kind of covers most of it, but there's just a few nitpicks and whatnot from it. So I'm just going to make a new layer on top of everything. We're going to get a pretty big brush. Make sure it's a soft brush. You don't want to do like a hard brush, because then it's like, oof, where'd that circle come from? So we're going to do a soft brush, and we're just going to kind of go around the parts where there's no iceberg and maybe on top of the plants. Give it kind of like a frosty look. And we're just going to lower the opacity on that, just where it's kind of settled. And then maybe, I was thinking, that'll work. So once we've done that, we're going to then start by adding our social media. So I'm gonna assume you guys have that in your guys' pack, so I'm not gonna include these in the pack. So I guess for this we'll just do YouTube and selfie because it's a Twitter header, so there's no point in having a Twitter plug on your Twitter header. Notice a lot of people do that recently. What they'll do is they'll make a Twitter header, but they'll put their Twitter on the header. It's like, well, you're already on the profile, so do you need to plug your Twitter? But anyway, so what I'm doing here is I'm just deleting this little white triangle in the YouTube so that when I turn it white, it still has that YouTube look. Because if I kept it, then it would just be a white square. So I'm just going to make it small. And what I like to use on these social media plugs, I like to use like a clean font. So like I don't like to use like a font like this. I'd much rather use like a font like, say, like Typograph, or maybe this one. I think this is a good one. Yeah, it works, I guess. We'll use it. So I'm just gonna make it like 20, something really small. We're gonna make it white. Yeah, boom, boom. I actually might make it even smaller. Maybe like a 15. I like to have the text a little bit smaller than the logo. So I guess something like this would work. And we're just going to position it. Let's see, let's zoom out. Like, I'd say right. Actually, I might even make it smaller. I feel like it's a little too big. Let's go with like 10. Yeah, and then we'll make the YouTube smaller as well. Boom. Alright, cool. So now that we have that, I would say, yeah, that works. I usually don't like to have the social media too big. Like, I like to have it pretty settled, but like big enough where you can read it. So I'm just going to duplicate this real quick, kind of get the general position. I'd say that works. We're going to delete the YouTube, obviously, and use the selfie one. Oops. And I'm going to bring that up. That'd be a cool look. Just got an idea for something while doing that. So I'm just going to make this the same size, so it's pretty small. Let's say, does that work? Yeah, that works pretty good. So I'd say for the most part, that's like the main part. There's more things you can do. I pretty much rushed it for the sake of the tutorial because we've already been going on for 23 minutes. But there's more you can do. Like, you could fix this up a little bit. You could add some more lighting, move some things, add some more stocks if you wanted. There's a lot of options here, but for the sake of the tutorial, just gonna settle with this. This kind of gives you guys the general idea of how this style goes. So like once you got this general idea, this is where you can start adding your own twist to it, your own style to it, things to make it your own and whatnot. So once we've done all this, we're just going to group everything we've done, and I'm just going to duplicate it. I'm going to merge it, duplicate it again, and then we're going to add a blue. I'm just going to move it to the right, just a touch. I'd say like right there. Just move it to the right a couple times, and I'm going to remove it on the social media. So everything else has that effect. Mostly it stands out on the text here, as you can see, which I feel is a good look to it. We're going to merge these together, duplicate one more time, go filter, other, high pass. Let's do 1.5. 1.5 pixels, okay. We're going to set it to overlay, and what this does is it acts as a sharpening tool in Photoshop, I've noticed, or a really cool, sharp kind of vibe to it. I mean, I bet most of you guys have already been like familiar with it, but we're going to use it on this, and we're just going to lower it down to like, maybe like 50. So it's not overpowering, but it's still there where it's like giving that oomph. So that kind of wraps it up for the most part. Another thing I wanted to show you guys about this with these icebergs is, if you wanted, you're free to change the color however you like, and it still gives a good look. Like, you'll notice that some stocks, when you change the hue and saturation, it gives like a very muddy, kind of not good look. Now, it doesn't work for everything. Like this one, for example, I don't think it personally looks that good, but like green looks great. Blue, you could do a darker blue. Pink, a red. A red looks alright. So yeah, you can kind of experiment. I think yellow also looks really good. And then there's also the original. But that kind of wraps it up for this style, guys. I I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like and comment on feedback that I can improve on and tutorials that you guys would like me to make for you guys. I do these every week, and then on top of that, I plan on posting speed arts, things that are on my mind. But the only thing that's really set is a tutorial every week, and then everything else in between is kind of just like whenever I get an idea, I'll make a video and whatnot. So there's that. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember, the pack is down in the description and down below if you want to copy all this stuff down. It's been your host today, Zebs. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Peace.